It's the biggest investment most people will ever make in their lives. But imagine buying a brand new dream home and discovering it riddled with problems. And to make it worse, the builder isn't returning your calls. That is what homeowners around the country are alleging. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross and our affiliates investigate reports of shoddy construction and a variety of new home problems.
Nick Saban, nice to meet you. Pleasure. Appreciate the opportunity.
In the movie The Blind Side, actress Sandra Bullock plays the owner of a fabulous house.
Thank you.
But in real life, the actress ended up in court.
Tell us how the case is going. Sorry, I can't.
Suing her builder over huge defects in her multi-million-dollar Texas mansion that she famously later bulldozed to the ground. In suburban Washington, D.C., the owner of this new home has a hole in her foundation and a snake that moved in underneath.
All up and down, and you hear the same kind of things.
The people in this new subdivision in Virginia say they know the feeling, with great-looking houses on the outside and a long list of problems on the inside.
It's very upsetting because it's the most expensive purchase any of us are going to make.
And it happened to Simone Engel of Birmingham, Alabama, whose $400,000 brand new home had bouncy, creaky floorboards.
It's like playing music.
That had to be ripped up, and a messed up drainage system that was fixed by the builder only after ABC News got involved.
All I've had since I moved in is issue after issue after issue.
What they all had was a bad case of new home heartbreak.
Look at that.
A dream house turning into a nightmare.
It's kind of typical of homes that are built to sell, not built to last.
And these two men, sort of the Sherlock Holmes and Watson of new home construction problems,
Let's go on inside and see.
say they see it all the time in cases they investigate for homeowners.
That's a sign you have trouble.
Harrison McCampbell is a forensic architect.
They put them up in a hurry. They don't pay attention to detail.
Bill Loden is the former president of the American Association of Home Inspectors.
It's less than a 5-degree slope, and it should be at least 15 degrees.
There's been a building boom in this country. Tens of thousands of new homes going up every year, with big national builders, including the biggest, D.R. Horton, promising quality homes and superior customer service. Yet documents show that Horton has set aside some $400 million in each of the last 2 years to deal with construction defect claims, calling it the ordinary course of business.
It's got some good black mold in it. Definitely shouldn't see that.
And now an ABC News investigation conducted with our stations across the country.
Wow, you're wringing water out of the wood.
Found case after case of homeowners claiming shoddy construction.
The water would start here and then travel along the ceiling.
With the big well-known builders often slow or refusing to fix the problems.
What's wrong with your yard?
Big and small.
Black soot, water damage, and a giant crack in the foundation.
As WLS discovered in Chicago.
We had no choice. No one will fix it. It was our house, and we had to just walk away from it.
In Raleigh, North Carolina, WTVD heard from Army Captain Mauro Bazan, who had to put sandbags around his new home because it floods outside and inside with almost every rainfall. In Seattle, Como TV heard from homeowners in this development about what the sun's rays were doing to their siding.
Melted siding, extensive buckling, and glaring gaps.
But the homeowners say the builder keeps putting off any kind of fix.
Hardly any of my phone calls get returned.
And in Columbus, Ohio, frustrated homeowners took our reporter from WSYX along as they showed up at the builder's office to demand their problems be fixed.
Brooks Rose, ABC 6. Here were some homeowners who want some answers.
Going to have to ask you to leave. Appreciate your time.
Would you want your family to live in one of these places?
Thank you very much.
The industry trade group says unhappy homeowners are in the minority and that all too often Americans have expectations that are just too high.
The American consumer expects a perfect home. There's no such thing as a perfect home.
Jerry Howard is the chief executive officer of the National Association of Home Builders.
I think the quality of housing being built is as good as it's ever been. Better.
Better than ever.
Yes, sir.
Are they shoddy?
I say no.
The big national builders are masters at enticing potential homeowners with a dream house, offering name brand appliances, custom color schemes, designer amenities.
We're going to use the Frigidaire, but they've got Gallery Series as their upper end. And you'll see Tiger Woods, and a lot of these stars will use those.
What we don't see in the model home are the bones, the hidden parts of the home.
Veteran home inspector Mark McGivern says homeowners should always try to go beyond what the sales reps pitch.
Go into that neighborhood, knock on a couple of doors and say, I'm considering buying in your neighborhood. Can you tell me what your experience is?
Point out all the houses here where there are issues.
So that's what we did at a D.R. Horton development in Virginia, where we met a lot of very unhappy homeowners with problems they say D.R. Horton would not fix.
I'm usually generally calm, and I got to the point where I was calling them probably every other day and cussing at them.
We brought in the 2 home detectives, McCampbell and Loden, to look at what these homeowners described as problems and defects. One of the homeowners, Jackie Walker, a freelance makeup artist who works for ABC News and other media outlets in Washington.
So every single one of these is a
nail pop or a seam.
She has marked with blue tape more than 800 nails that she says have popped out of the wall, along with cracks in the door frames.
Should this happen in a brand new home? Should you have all this?
Absolutely not. This is excessive by any standard. There's a real problem.
But she says she's had to go to war with D.R. Horton to get it all fixed, and it still is not, well after her warranty expired.
It has been a nightmare. I've made several attempts to be here for appointments for them to show up. I had 23 appointments, and they missed 17 of those.
A spokesperson for D.R. Horton said the company has reached out to address the problems we raised about the homes in Walker subdivision, but the homeowners say, as of tonight, no one has contacted them. And as our station KATU in Portland, Oregon reported, homeowners with problems and defects claim their builder seems to be waiting them out until their first-year warranty expires.
You just get that sense that they're just dragging this out so that my year runs out and then they're just going to dump me.
Have you ever heard of that happening?
No, sir.
Not until this point?
Not until this point.
I'm the first person to mention that to you?
Yes, sir.
That's never been an issue with this industry?
No, sir. Not to my knowledge.
And more homeowners with unresolved problems come to realize, often when it's too late, that the contract they sign keeps them from suing the home builder. Most builders insist on what's called mandatory arbitration, whose outcomes generally cannot be appealed and are kept secret.
They like arbitration because it favors them.
Even though it's supposed to be neutral and unbiased?
Even though it's supposed to be neutral and unbiased.
Vickie Pynchon is a lawyer who has served for years as an arbitrator in construction defect cases. And she says arbitrators who come down too hard on the builders are unlikely to be hired again.
They're not going to get repeat business.
And that's what is at play here then?
Yes.
So for the homeowner coming in, the deck is sort of stacked?
Yes. The secret deck is stacked against the homeowner.
The American Arbitration Association says its records show that more than half the time the homeowner prevails. But in South Carolina, the state Supreme Court ruled this year that the mandatory arbitration clauses used by D.R. Horton are unconscionable and unenforceable.
It's a take it or leave it situation. And lack of meaningful choice is, you don't like it, hit the road.
Again and again. It was only after the builders knew ABC News or one of our stations was on the case that repair crews showed up. In Indianapolis, it was only after WRTV got involved that the builders sent an executive to check out alleged roofing and drainage problems.
This is how we knew it was leaking.
And outside Houston, the builder D.R. Horton actually offered to buy this house back after our station KTRK began to investigate a homeowner's complaints of defects and problems.
They weren't even moving until you guys got involved.
For Nightline, Brian Ross, ABC News, New York.